Hi, all my beauties. I kind of debated about coming on to share this. It's about a dream I had last night, and it felt very personal. But as I've thought about it throughout the day, I don't know, I just felt that intuitive guide to have to share it. And I also drew some cards as well that I'll talk about. But I often, well, I have crazy vivid dreams all the time, so that's not anything new. But since I was very, very young, I've learned how to tell the difference between what's just a regular dream and what's maybe something more. And because I, no joke, have crazy dreams. Like I talk to people and they're like, yeah, those are not a typical dream for the average person. So, and like this is just like daily, right? Like, but anyway, so this dream, I don't know, this dream had a little bit more weight to it. And I woke up and it was one of those dreams where I just sort of wanted to linger in it and was thinking through it as though it were like memories. And when I have dreams like that, I do write them down. I like to write them in a more narrative form. So like I'm writing a story. And that's also how my dreams play out. It's like I'm watching a movie. And sometimes my dreams, I am the person, I'm the actor, so to speak. And it's like things are coming from my perspective. At other times, it's though I'm an audience member watching things. And this dream started out with me as the person whose perspective I was in. And I was wearing a white dress. And for some reason that seems important. Because it was just something that I noticed and I've continued to think on throughout the day. There was nothing fancy about it, but it was a white long dress, like maxi length, kind of not a ruffle, but sort of swishy, like around the ankles, and it had like this gold. It wasn't embroidery, but like these gold flowers that were subtle, but also. Like when the light hit them right, or like if your eye catched it just right, you know, you would notice this like shimmer. And it started where I was in a church service, and there was a lot of hostility coming from the people like sitting around me, and I just like felt this like hostility. It wasn't like necessarily like people saying things or doing things. It just, I could feel this hostility. And I would be asked to like come up and sing, and but you know, I just could feel like this hostility emanating from the rest of the church members. And I remember like getting frustrated about things that were happening during the service, about things that were being said during the service. And, you know, I'd kind of look around and people would be giving me a dirty look, or, you know, there were a couple times where like people were clearly like snickering and whatever. And I finally got so frustrated that I got up and I walked out like in the middle of the service. And then the perspective changes from mine to I'm like observing this scene. And so this woman walks out of the church doors and she's on a city sidewalk, and she starts walking down the sidewalk, and she's just very a very kind of clipped pace, you know, isn't faltering in her movement as though she knows where she's going, or she's, it's more like she was like being led. But across the street there was an orchestra playing, and there were tables and tables and tables of people in like black and white clothing, listening to the symphony. And the woman, takes notice of this, but she keeps walking. And within the crowd, and by the way, like in my dream, there was definitely me / the woman, and then this other figure who stands up from the crowd did take on a masculine form. He stands up, notices her, but if this resonates in any way with anybody, the genders are not what's important here. I'm just retelling what was in my dream, and what might be personal for me doesn't mean it has to be for you. But anyway, he starts to notice her and seems intrigued and starts to follow her. She starts walking down the sidewalk, and she comes to a place on the sidewalk where up to now it's been a traditional city sidewalk. There's buildings on either side beyond this orchestra that's playing, and there's a glass door, but it's not just like in the middle of the sidewalk. It's like a part of a structure, but it's in front of her. And she goes to open the door, but it opens for her and the man who noticed her standing there. And she looks at him and is sort of surprised to see him. And she says, "You?" Well, she doesn't say it. Everything was very like telepathic. Sometimes in my dreams there's speaking, and then a lot of times it's more like telepathic. Anyway, but this was more like a telepathic communication because there really was no speaking in this dream. And he says yes, and so they seem to like be acknowledging each other. And so they walk to the store, and all of a sudden it's like the same cityscape, but now there are multiple, I'm trying to think how to describe this. There are steps that go up and down, and these steps go up and down into pools. And there's also water like cascading down the steps. It's almost this like modern, oh God, how am I trying to explain this? It's in my head. I don't know how important this is, but it's what I took away. So kind of like a modern, if you saw like an outdoor thing that had been built and kind of an artistic structure, but it's a very modern, sleek look. And so it's just these multiple, and they're also tiered. It's not just all flat. And then within the pool, the different pools are the symphony and this crowd of people in their, finery. And as this man and woman, who I'm now going to refer to them as, start walking, they will come to a section of a pool. First, they're kind of making their way around, this crowd of people at the symphony. And I mean, they're literally sitting in pools, like they're at tables, but in pools. But it's like nobody's like, it seems normal, like for what's happening. And this couple just kind of keeps walking around, and she seems to be showing him things. And eventually they start coming to pools where she kind of indicates to him, like with nonverbal gestures, like, "Are you still going to follow?" And he does, and then they'll dive into the pool. And in the pool, they're underwater, but it's also as though they're in spaces, rooms and hallways, sometimes an outdoor scene. It looks all very realistic, except it's all underwater. And this part I'm not going to get too detailed in because I do feel like these specific things were definitely for me. But there's like different scenes and memories from the woman's life playing out. And some of them are hard, some of them are good, some of them are lovely, some of them are difficult. And kind of the whole time she's questioning, again, never really spoken out loud, but like, is he still going to follow me? And there's certain times where there's a memory or a scene that at one point cracks start to form on her chest, and she puts her hand there and starts rubbing as though she's sort of polishing until the cracks go away and they're gone. There was another one where she grew like a hard, sort of like calcified skin, and you know, there's like long moments where she's sort of standing there almost like a statue, and then eventually she pulls, you know, she's like literally ripping this like exoskeleton away from her. And then sort of the final one is they're walking through this hallway, and like when they look in through each doorway, there's a different memory from her life. And at the end is a room, and yes, this is very Beauty and the Beast, but there is like a glass bell jar with a anatomical heart in it, and there's like this glowing amethyst light that's just seemingly coming from nowhere, but she goes in and grabs a heart and she kind of thrusts it into herself. And from this point on, and throughout this, they're like coming in and out of the pool. So they go into one pool, they visit these different memories of hers, and then they come out of the pool and they're kind of walking through the city again until they come to the next pool and then, you know, jump in. And finally they leave this pool and they go sit in an empty pool. Like there's no water, there's nothing. And at one, no, I don't think I'm gonna share that, sorry. I'm just trying to like really discern like what is specifically meant for me and what's not. Yeah, I think that part's just for me. But so they're just sort of sitting in this empty pool, and they're sitting there cross-legged, you know, across from each other, and just sort of holding hands. And then this spring kind of pops up between them and starts filling the pool, and that's essentially the end of the dream. So I woke up and I was just kind of like playing through my mind, and I wrote, like I said, I wrote it in a narrative form, and it struck me, sorry, it's been I need a Dr. Pepper Zero day, so you know, as I was sort of thinking on beyond just, because the whole time too, I felt a very loving presence. While there were bittersweet things and there were sad things and difficult things going on, I also the whole time felt like a very loving presence, a very protective presence, a very, excuse me, it's just sort of surrounded by something or someone who was like, I could physically, like while I was like witnessing this, my like real body felt like it was being held. Like I could physically feel the sensation of a body against mine, and you know, the feel of warm skin against mine. Sorry, I got distracted by a noise. But I'm just seeing if there's any more details of the dream I meant to share. Yeah, so when I just, so beyond kind of the initial thought of like what this dream can mean, and it kind of struck me that this is sort of a journey. Obviously the water represents emotions, thoughts, you know, the different pools kind of tended to have different colors, different surfaces, and Sorry, I'm like seeing things in my head. I'm starting to have downloads. Okay. I'm trying to focus here. For me, this was about, and by the way, I think this might be specific to, I'm gonna say like romantic love, but it's deeper than that. I think a lot of us are looking for somebody who will go into the depths with us, and we're so used to doing it alone. But I think we've come to a point, or we're on the way to coming to that point where we are healing ourselves and understanding that that's the work we have to do, that somebody else doesn't do it for us. And actually, I don't have this card with me, but I first pulled from the Rose Oracle deck, and I pulled the Rescuer. And I think a lot of us have been taught, and again, this is not gender specific, that we're waiting for a knight in shining armor to come save us, to come rescue us, and that when that happens, then everything else falls in place, and our heart can be mended, and we have our happily ever after. But the reality is that we have to be our own knight in shining armor, and we have to be the one to mend that heart. And I think a lot of us are on that journey, and I think a lot of us have reached a point where we've stitched a lot of that heart back together, and we're now, I don't want to say looking, because I really sense that, like me, a lot of you are not necessarily actively looking for something. It's just more this feeling of, I know there's something out there for me. I know there's somebody who can look into my depths and not look away. That there's somebody who will hold me and not be terrified when I reveal like my real self. The things are still just like coming up in my head. But I pulled from Rosebud Tarot it's the Eight of Fire, the Sovereignty of Earth, and the Ace of Fire. Lots of fire energy, which in a traditional deck would be Eight of Wands, King of Pentacles, and Ace of Wands. I really like the energy of the Rosebud Tarot. Like, I really, really love it. The images don't always give me what maybe other decks' images do. But what I heard immediately was, it's on its way. And I think the King of Pentacles is us. We're literally standing in our sovereignty. Like, we know who we are. We have planted ourselves into the earth and we've literally rooted ourselves to who we are, and integrating the light and the shadow. And if you watched any of my other videos, you know that I don't necessarily buy into the concept of the low vibration, high vibration in the way that people talk about it. I think that they both have their place and they both can be integrated, and we can work with both. And one is not better than the other. But I don't know, like we figured some shit out. And what's for us is on its way. Like it's in motion. And like I said, this feels more like, sorry, I keep adjusting. This feels more like more of a romantic love. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. But I'm, and again, but it's more than that. It's, you know, the King of Pentacles has, I don't really look at the Pentacles in terms of like finances and material wealth. I rarely look at the Pentacles that way. For me, the King of Pentacles is someone who is taking these practical steps to live authentically and even if their reality isn't exactly what they want it to be, they have created a steadiness of mind that is deeply rooted in who they are, so that they can continue to take those practical steps to design an outside world that is fulfilling and abundant. And again, for me, abundance has nothing to do with wealth and money. I mean, the king, I mean, he's literally planted his seeds and he's watching them grow. And he's not, but my kids are arguing. He's not back and forth in his head about, oh, is this right? Is this the right thing to do? I don't know what to do. I think he's always in that, like, he knows the harvest is gonna come. And he's now sat back and, you guys, Declan! Anyway, so anyway, that's us. And you know, the Ace of Fire, the Ace of Wands, I mean, aces are about new beginnings. They're about, well, new things. There is passion, there is fire, there is energy, there is creativity that is there for us to reach for. And you know, while we're waiting for this Eight of Wands to come in, we have the ability to reach for our passions, our dreams, our desires. And things don't always go the way we want. The route doesn't always look the way we thought it would. You know, ultimately reaching the goal is the main point, not how we reach the goal. But even if the goal changes, like, that's okay. You know, where I thought I was gonna be 20, 30 years ago, like, even now, like, I just have a very different vision for my life than what I thought I wanted to do, like, in my early 20s. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. And it's also okay that I'm 45 and still figuring out how to get to the end goal. That's okay. And it's okay for you too. Yeah, I don't want to go on too much longer, but I think it was just guided to come on and say for those of you who, oh, I also just, this afternoon just felt, I don't know, this like rush of emotion, just, and not negative emotion, but like I never cry. I mean, it's, I don't know, I'm freaking weird. I say I live in a house with boys, and I'm like, why am I the one that never cries? but, and I certainly think some of the emotion was coming from me, for sure. But like the amount that was like coming towards me, that was like physically filling up my body, and like, you know, tears were like coming to my eyes, and I felt like there are other people who were kind of feeling this way today too, just wondering, when is that support coming, when is that partner coming, you know, when is that, you know, when is the next phase? And I feel like this is all meant to just reassure us that it's on its way. It might not look the way we wanted it to or how we imagined it, but it's on its way. And meanwhile, we are the King of frickin' Pentacles. We are standing, you know, we are standing tall and solid and firm, and knowing that the seeds we have planted are going to grow and provide us what we need and what we want. And we're going to continue to put that, so again, we're getting fire again. I mean, all week we keep getting fire. I love it. You know, we're going to keep using that fire to fuel us. And I think in many ways we're the ones opening the door to that new beginning. I mean, yeah, the dream, I mean, she goes through a door. Actually, she goes through two. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's just interesting when things you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I don't know. I think just anybody else who's maybe in a moment of you know, I'm strong, I'm capable, you know, I know how to take care of shit, you know, I have worked vigorously, you know, on healing myself and getting to a point where I love myself so freaking much. I know that I'm a catch. I know I have so much to offer the world. But at the same time, where's the person who I get to turn to? Where is the person who I'm their priority? You know, where is my support? That's okay to feel that. We get to feel that. That's okay. It doesn't mean what we want won't come because we felt that way. I mean, you're not a human if you don't feel that way. I think wanting those things is a very natural thing. It's a part of being human, and acknowledging that that's what you want. Sorry, I'm organizing. I think that's a part of putting into the universe what we want, what we're looking for. So I think for those of us who are on this journey, and I know for me it's more than a partner, but that is definitely a part of it. And today in particular is just one of those days where there wasn't even anything like, I haven't been in a negative energy at all, but it was just a longing, that's the word, a longing for that companionship, for that, someone just to talk to, and not even about like serious stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt guided to come on and share this with you guys, and I'm being very vulnerable here. It's not easy for me, but if it resonates with anybody, I would love to know, you know, what kind of steps are you taking to, you know, kind of keep yourself in that sovereignty, while simultaneously, waiting for the wheel to turn in your favor. Because, not that there's anything wrong, like if you are out there dating and things like that, that's not really my journey. But I think particularly those of us who are just in a moment of pause and know that there's something coming. And it's not, I mean, we're waiting for it, but I don't want to act like oh, we're just sat here doing nothing waiting for that. That's not the energy. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're here together. We're here in this space together, and I want you to know that. I want you to know that you're loved regardless, and that by loving ourselves, we are opening up so many doors. Because we now know what love feels like, because we've given ourselves that love. I know I do. And I understand now how it works and how it feels and what I want from it. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know if it resonates. I hope everybody's having a good week. I, after tomorrow, will have 2 kids at home all the time, 24/7 for summer break. So we'll see. I'll either be posting a lot or I won't be posting much at all. So we'll see what happens. But hoping to come back on at the end of the week with kind of weekly check-in and post and kind of see where we go next on our journey. So I love all my beautiful people. I hope you're having a great evening.